Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to Bain Break It Down Forex. It's your boy Big Bain and this thing, and you guys guessed it. Another week, another opportunity for us to make some money in the Forex market. So let's get right to it. All right. Boom, guys. Last week was painful. All right. It was super slow, and things once again didn't set off until Thursday or Friday, which was okay, right? Because my team was able to make up, right? We were able to, whatever loss we took that week, Thursday and Friday, we made it all back and some. All right. So we're going to have a continuation of that, it seems, for the rest of the month, possibly. You know what I'm saying? It's just a thing that, me and my team has noticed for like the past 2 months or so. And I think it's, all tied into, what's going on politically and what have you in the economy. So, just saying all that, this week coming up, right, the 20th through the 24th, right, we may have, similar kind of, situation, right, where things will be slow at the beginning of the week, and then for whatever reason, it cranks up at the end of the week, all right? So, speaking of which, we do have economic news this week, not a whole lot for the dollar. Monday, there's no news, so that's going to be a clean day. Please make sure to tap in, right? I'll be going live 9 a.m. Eastern time, all right? 9 a.m. Eastern time. I'll be live on YouTube, and I'll try to get you guys out throughout this whole entire week coming up so that you can understand how to get into trades and how we do it live, all right? That's going to take you to another level once you can understand the psychology that goes into actually taking a trade, all right? So make sure to tap in, hit that like and subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when I'm going live, that way you don't miss out, all right? But Tuesday, we got CAD news, right? They got CPIs coming out at 8:30 in the morning, all right? So it's a little before I go live, but at the same token, we can take a look at some of the CAD pairs and see if we can find us a play, all right? Wednesday, we got CPI for the pound, right? That comes out overnight. So that Wednesday morning, we may be able to look at some of the pound pairs and see what opportunities they have, all right? Thursday, there is no news. So again, another clean day. When we show up in the morning, right, we may have, just clean movement on the chart without any kind of catalyst causing major volatility and major swings, all right? Friday is the day, all right? That's where PMI news comes out for the euro, comes out for the pound, and we have CPI and PPI coming out for the dollar. All, euro and pound is overnight, right? 3 a.m., 3:30, 4:30, but the dollar is in the morning, 8:30, 9:45. So that's right in our mix of our time where things will most likely, take off, all right? So just want to give you guys that right out the gate. But here we go over to the dollar, guys. We were bullish, all right? Breaking highs, then we ended up making this double top, right? Breaking this low at the moment, and we started to go lower. So now we're in the phase of pulling back to potentially get back to this area that we broke, all right, in this area possibly, all right, before continuing to fall, or we may even kind of push up to this fair value gap and then drop down. So I am in, where the dollar is right now, it's still kind of in between both sides, right? I can see it potentially starting that rise because this pullback was decent enough, right, for this complete up move that you see right here. If we pull out Fibonacci from the high to the low, right, we can see we rejected that 68 area zone pretty decently, and now we can really just begin to keep rising on the dollar. So that is, the structure of how this is supposed to go right now. But again, with making that double top, right, failing to continue higher, this may just be a retracement to the new change from up to down, all right? Again, this down is still just a pullback of the up, but all I'm saying is that as we're pushing up, we can, continue to come back down to really test this fair value gap, and then we can shoot up, breaking above these highs, all right? So it's a 50-50 shot on the dollar right now, and what we got to simply do is wait to see, how the dollar reacts when it's getting up to these particular highs, right? If we happen to get a break above the high, then we're most likely going to continue going higher, right? But if we get to this high and we start respecting this high and you start seeing some bearish candles show up, then we're most likely going to head down and fill that fair value gap, all right? So the dollar is pretty mixed at the moment, okay? But from the structure of this pullback, right, it should rise is what it should do, all right? But we'll see when the week begins, all right? Moving over to the JPY, and the JPY has given us a nice retracement on the drop that it did, right? Broke the low, made the new low, started the pullback phase, got to the fair value gap, not very deep within it, but we got nice rejection. If we look at it from a daily time frame, right, guys, you'll see, man, that looks like a very nice hammer candle or inverse hammer candle, right? But the wick is title telling, right? Showing rejection of buyers. So we did get a chance to mitigate that fair value gap. So now we very well maybe headed down on the JPY to take advantage of, continuing the trend down, right, and breaking those lows. But it's still in the mix because with the way that it's looking, right, this pullback, right, we got run, pullback, run, pullback, run, pullback. So we may just kind of feel this imbalance, maybe even drop down a little here and then go a little deeper into that fair value gap. So we're in this state right now with these indexes, right, the dollar and the JPY, where they really can kind of go either way, right? So we can't really jump the gun right out the gate. We got to really see, hey, what are you guys trying to do, right? Are you guys, is the JPY going to go down first, right, fill this and start to give us some bullish pressure, or is it going to, potentially go up a little bit more and then give us that drop, right? So we got to be patient to, see how this plays out, and then we can bust a move, all right? But from the way it looks on the daily time frame, it looks like it's going to drop. So I'm expecting a drop first on the JPY before any potential rise, all right? We got this rise. So again, now expecting some sort of drop, right? Bearish on JPY. Over to our dollar. Our dollar's a little mixed, all right? But you can see we got these equal lows, right? And our dollar has been pushing, so my team took a buy on it. We're up 16 pips, and I do expect it to just continue rising as the week begins, all right? So bullish on the dollar. Over the euro dollar, all right, looking at this, again, we broke the low right here, right, made us a nice double bottom, all right, and again, the dollar made a double top, and now the euro dollar made a double bottom, right? So that is a bullish reversal pattern for the double bottom, and that is a bearish reversal pattern for the double top on the dollar, all right? So if that's the case, if they're going to play out, these patterns, then that means we should start to see a rise on euro dollar. But we're at the area that we broke, so we could rise from here, right? But there's a huge fair value gap to the bottom right here that we can easily go to balance out, potentially tap into demand, and then rise, okay? So if that drop is going to happen, that means the dollar is going to rise a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That's going to push the euro down, and then when the dollar starts to fall, that's going to push the euro up. All right, so in essence, guys, I'm bearish on it on euro dollar first to fill this gap. Once it gets there, then I'll be looking for a potential bullish opportunity from that demand, possibly from the gap, and then aiming up to this level of supply. All right, and if we get it from that low up to supply, we're looking at 229 pips, just so you know. All right, bullish, well, bearish, then bullish on euro USD. All right, same for pound dollar. Well, yeah, so again, we got a double bottom here, right? We broke the neckline and we pushed up, so we're supposed to get some sort of retracement, right? But potentially to this fair value gap that we see sitting right here in this area, and I'll map it out for you guys. All right about here. All right, push it on over, and whoop, there it is. All right, we got it where we can potentially drop to. All right, and then from here we'll be looking for a potential buy on GU, right? 167 points or pips up to that level. But coming down, right, if we choose to do that right out the gate, we're looking at about 100 and some odd pips to that fair value gap. So, you know, there's no telling, because you see this level of support is respecting right now, and we could just continue rising out of here, right? So again, just have to be patient once Sunday hits and the market opens, right? The first few hours or so, let it, you know, do all this manipulation, right? And then, you know, come back and start to look at what price is showing you, okay? And if it's showing you that it is, you know, breaking below the support level, you can look for your selling opportunities to that fair value gap, right? But if it shows you that it's not breaking below and it's respecting, you may potentially want to go ahead and take that buy on up to this high, you know, as a target area. All right, so I'm going to say GU is going to potentially drop first, right? And then we'll get the opportunity for the buy. All right, so bearish on GU for now, right, until we get to that fair value gap, and then I'll be bullish. All right, moving over to New Zealand dollar, and New Zealand dollar kind of has, you know, just a mixiness to it, because it's kind of consolidating right now. It is respecting this support area, but you know, it's just too choppy, right? Definitely a fair value gap here. We kind of went into it, but there's still potential that we can rise a little bit higher, especially if the dollar falls right away. But like I said, I think the dollar's going to rise, so this may push down a little deeper into this fair value gap and then potentially rise, just like euro and pound dollar. All right, so watching out for the drop first, and if we get here, then I'll be looking for the buy. All right, but you never know, we might just shoot up right out the gate, right? And the dollar may shoot down, which is why, again, it's more of a waiting game, right, than to just go ahead and take either side without seeing what it really wants to do. Okay, we prefer to make sure that we take trades when price is in our zones, right? In the zones, price is nowhere within our zones at the moment, so we're not just going to take it for either direction, because that's not ideal. All right, that's how that goes. Okay, so potentially bearish and then bullish on pound New Zealand, or New Zealand dollar. All right, over to dollar CAD, right? So my team took the sell. We're up 12 pips, right? We got a nice break of the high, made the new high, and we started the pullback, but we consolidated before we, you know, started doing our drop. We got liquidity sitting at these equal lows, and we got this demand area on the lower time frame, you know, that's making price look really good for this potential drop in the sell on dollar CAD. All right, we make it a little push up to kind of retest the area that we broke, potentially the supply area. All right, and then we'll continue dropping to the downside. So very bearish on dollar CAD. All right, over to dollar CHF, and we may get a drop here as well, but it's starting this pullback phase. So if it gets above the supply, we can kind of see it creep up a little higher to potentially any one of these highs before it goes to dropping. But once the week begins, again, I just want to see how much price respects this particular supply area, right? And if it does, to where it starts coming down, may take a short position and, you know, aim for that low, possibly lower, right? It just depends. But because these two suppliers are so close to each other, price can probably push up to this one first before it does that drop. Again, the dollar looks like it's going to rise a bit, right, before potentially it goes and falls with the double top that it has. All right, so temporarily bullish, right, on dollar CHF, and then looking for the drop throughout the rest of the week. All right, over to dollar JPY, and looking at it again, great structure, broke the high, made the new high, started the pullback, right? All of this is the pullback, and we're still in downtrend structure on that pullback. All right, so we have an area where we broke the low right here. All right, and because of that, you know, we have this as our swing high in that downtrend structure. All right, so we can still get up to this area and potentially fall. All right, so just mapping out that last bear candle before we got the push down that broke structure, and that is our supply area, all right, for dollar JPY. So don't be surprised if dollar JPY just kind of pushes up to this level and then begins to fall, continuing this downward market structure that we see. You see how that just connects the dots, right? That's what that's going to look like. Okay, potentially it can get there, but most likely it's going to stall here a little bit before it does the drop. And if it doesn't stall and it kind of pushes up above, then you can have you know, potential bias as to it getting to this next supply level and then possibly dropping from there. All right, guys, so I'm bearish on dollar JPY, but I'm waiting for it to get to that supply level first before I take the sell. Again, I've already taken it from here, so again, it's just coming back to my entry. But if you haven't taken it, again, that's where you want to take it from, this particular supply area. That way you'll be getting in a little higher than where price currently is, and then you'll have yourself an opportunity to make over 350 points or pips to the downside to that next demand level. All right, over to pound odd, right? And pound odd has broken the high, made the new high, and we're starting the pullback. Okay, so looking to see if we had any real change of character, and we didn't quite have it. All right, so it's not crystal clear, right? This is the low that we technically need to break to have that change of character. So what I'm saying is that even though it looks like we're beginning the pullback, it could be very, very short-lived to where price can start rising from this potential area, and then when we look left, we can see it's a bit of a nice support level. All right, so we definitely can respect that and keep rising. All right, so you got to be careful selling pound odd at the moment. Okay, but if we break below, right, like I said, we'll be having a change of character at below this low, and from there we just want price to get a little higher so we can begin to sell it as the pullback right to this up move on pound odd. So right now it's still bullish, so I'm going to be bullish on pound odd until it shows me something different. All right, that's how you play that, guys. All right, stand on the right side of the track. It's all about being able to read the structure and knowing what phase of the structure that you're in. So again, run, pullback, run, pullback. The next phase should be a run, going to take out that high, potentially go higher, right, and getting up to that high. That's 183 pips, right, guys, and getting in from the low is exactly how we want to do it. All right, so bullish on pound odd. All right, with a pound cat, get a little higher, all right, and see what we got. So again, we broke the high and we made the new high, and so we should begin the pullback phase. The thing is, again, when we're looking to see, is price really going to pull back, we're looking to see if we had any kind of change of character, and we did. All right, so this is a higher low that pushed up and broke this higher high, right? So because that happened, that made this a strong low, and guess what? We just broke below it, so we did have a change of character here. And as we get to the lower time frame, you guys will see, right now you can see that structure a lot more clearly, okay, to where once again you can even put almost like a trend line on it, okay, just seeing that we broke the trend line, right? Nice evening star, right? 3 candles that give us a bearish reversal indication, all right, and it's at the high, which is very nice, right? It also developed a fair value gap, right, which is also showing you that there's bearish pressure, right, in terms of this potential reversal. All right, so that's another good thing. So what we'll be looking for, all right, with this particular setup on pound cat is for price to reach back into that fair value gap, right, possibly the middle of it, and then show us some bearish candles, right? 1 or 2 bear candles. It's time to rock and roll. We'll take the sell, we'll have our stop above, and then we'll aim, right, for this imbalance that we see here at this demand area that's sitting at the swing low. All right, and if we do that, guys, coming from the fair value gap on down, we're talking 324 pips. Okay, pound cat is going to be the play, right, if you pay attention to it and set yourself up for that sell opportunity. Again, sell limit is the order that you're looking to place on pound odd to take advantage. All right, so make sure you get it in as soon as you can, because this is a great setup. All right, guys, you're going to be getting the beginning of the pullback, right, down for 300 pips, right, and then from there you're going to be at demand areas where you just turn right back around and take it back up. So pound cat has the setup for catching it both ways, the retracement and then the actual run for 300 pip both ways, guys. Right, if you're able to swing a standard lot on this pair, you're making 3 bands going down and another 3 bands going up. Make 6 bands for the week. Most people don't make that in a month. All right, so come on, let's get with the program. All right, bearish on dollar cat, and then potentially in the middle of the week we'll get a potential reversal up. All right, but bearish on pound cat, right, over to pound CHF, and we got perfect structure, right, where it broke the low, made the new low. So once again, we can continue that pullback into this imbalance, right, before we potentially go to drop. So the opposite of what we had on pound cat, where we can take advantage of the drop and then the rise. Here on pound CHF, we can take advantage of the rise and then the drop. And again, it's the same situation that we're taking advantage of, right? We're trying to catch the pullback and then we're trying to catch the run, right? It's just in a different direction on this particular pair than it was on pound cat. All right, so I just need you guys to pay attention to that. All right, this is how we take advantage of the market, guys. Right, so again, that retracement started here, right? We got the higher low, we got the higher high. So again, we may just come down a little bit, create another higher low, and then potentially get up to fill this imbalance, right? It's not all the time that may happen, right? We're already at a supply area, we're at the area that we broke, so we may just continue falling, right, and breaking lows. Okay, so my team did take the buy to try to take advantage of the pullback, but we need to go ahead and lock in our profits potentially to this area, because again, price can continue falling from the supply. All right, guys, so just be mindful of that. But if it doesn't continue falling, if it begins to rise, especially in above the supply, we can bank on it going to fill that imbalance, and then we'll look for the sell from the higher point, and we'll take that on the way down. And if we catch it from here on down, we're looking at over 100 pips on pound CHF. All right, so right now I am still bullish, but I'll be looking for that sell opportunity depending on how price shows its hand. All right, moving over to GJ. All right, and with GJ, looking at this again from the higher time frame, you guys can see very clean structure. All right, on GJ, this is all textbook kind of structure, right? Breaking the high, making the new high. Here's the retracement, right? Here's the pullback. All of this is the pullback. Now we got some equal highs here, right? And we have retested the area that we broke, right? So it's potential that we can just continue rising, right, and not necessarily hit down to this demand or fill this imbalance, right? Again, as much as we know that it should and we can expect it to fill it, it doesn't mean that it always will, guys, right? So again, that's just something, it's just the way it is. It's just the way it goes, guys. It's not always going to be the way that we want it to, okay? And we just gotta accept it. All right, but from where it is here, we can go ahead and push up, sweep this liquidity, potentially fill this imbalance, and then maybe get a drop, right? Because again, that JPY is still mixy, right? It can go up or down, right? If that JPY goes up, it'll strengthen the JPY and cause the pound dollar to fall, right, and get to that demand area. But if the JPY goes down, then you can easily see GJ start to rise, sweeping this liquidity, potentially filling this imbalance, and maybe even going and breaking above the high. You never really know, because we are in uptrend structure on pound JPY, and with knowing that simply means you want to be looking for buys. So you got to buy opportunity from this area where price currently is. So if you buy it, right, you aim for the liquidity areas, you aim for the swing highs, you aim for the imbalance. All right, and if we do that, we're talking about about 130 some odd pips just to get the liquidity, getting to the fair value gap. We're almost at 200 pips, and breaking above the high, we're over 300 pips. All right, and GJ does numbers. All right, so just know, guys, you got opportunities on GJ to take advantage of a buy, which is, again, like I'm telling you guys, the particular trend that we're in. All right, and again, illustrating this is our pullback, this is our run, this is our pullback. So the next phase again could be the run, where we just continue in that uptrend for the pound JPY. All right, bullish on GJ, but watching out for potential continuation to the downside. Just depends. All right, pound New Zealand. All right, this is one of my go-to plays for the week. Right now, it is still bullish. I know I took the sell, but the reason why I took the sell is here on the lower time frame. All right, let's get down. All right, we started to break below this structure here. Okay, so you can see at one point this was acting as resistance, right? And I'll just kind of illustrate that to show you guys once again. All right, right here. All right, it was acting as resistance. Then it got above it. It started acting as support. Then it got back below it and started acting as resistance. So for that fact, right, that's where we are now. I'm expecting us to have a very nice drop to sweep the liquidity all behind this trend line and go and fill this imbalance, right? And then we also have this rising channel, which is a bearish reversal pattern, right? So I have a lot of things telling me that price can potentially drop on this particular pair. Therefore, I'm in the sell and I'm looking to make 357 pips to the downside. Guys, I'm lacing you up. You just got to be able to, set yourself up and take advantage, right? Get up early, set your orders, right? And, let the rest be history, all right? You can tell me all about it, all right? Shout out to Nick, said he made a ban off my watch list, guys. And that could be you, right? But you got to get in the mix and you got to make it do what it do, all right? Bearish on pound New Zealand, one of the major plays of the week. Don't sleep. All right, over to silver. We all know all-time highs, right? Silver did end up giving us a bit of a head and shoulders or double top, right? And then it gave us a drop, right? Well overdue. You guys heard me saying that for a long time that, man, these commodities should, give us some sort of correction, but we just weren't able to time it in a, good fashion. I mean, once or twice we maybe caught a little something on the drop, but ever since, those commodities just kept rising. But now we have an opportunity. You can see my team took the buy on Friday as we pushed up from the man, and, we can easily go to retest the area that we broke to make, that made us bearish on the commodities. And I'm just saying in terms of a pullback, right? Not bearish in terms of the overall trend, because you guys got to realize we're breaking highs. We made new highs, right? Telling us we want to go higher, but now we're just going to make the correction. People made a lot of money on the run up. So as they take their money, you'll start seeing sell orders and selling pressure be shown to you visually on the chart like this. All right. So now price is at a discount. All right. Basically where people bought it before to make all of that money on silver. And now history is repeating itself. So we're going to be a part of that, trying to catch silver going up to potentially break its high and just, again, continue making all-time highs. All right. So saying all that to say we're bullish on silver. All right. And, take your time, right? Because boy, oh boy, they got predictions for these commodities to absolutely go to the moon. Okay. Gold. All right. So Friday, like I said, was a payday for the squad. All right. We caught gold right here as it was at the bottom. You can see this is our entry at 4200, 4204. And since 1 p.m., right, 1:30 p.m. on Friday, we ended up having gold reach $49, right? A move 3 hours, right, to the end of Friday. So again, on a micro lot, that is $50. Okay. On a on a mini lot, that is $500. And on a standard lot, that's 5 bands. 5 bands, guys, in 3 hours. Insane. Okay. And gold still has potential to keep rising. As you can see at this support area, this demand area, we have created this inverse head and shoulders. All right. So we get above that neckline, we pull back a little bit, make that higher low, it's over with. All right. And guys, let's do a projection here. So when gold gets about to this lower high, this higher low, and then pulls up 156 points on gold, that's 1,560 pips. 1,560 pips on gold. So if you guys have been looking to try to take advantage of gold, this is the perfect time. This is the perfect opportunity for you to do so, right? Look for gold to at least pull down a little bit, right? Again, it may shoot right through, but look for it to pull down a little bit, because again, we're at the supply area, right? So look for a little bit of retracement before you look to buy it, right? The number one rule in trading, guys, is we buy low and we sell high. So again, gold has gone high, right, a little bit, right, in terms of just pushing up. So you want to look for that sell before you get into that buy. But man, when you get into that buy, it's going to be lights out. Okay, so if you made $5,000, right, off the standard buy on gold, with it making a $50 move in 3 hours on a Friday, can you imagine what it's going to be like when you make 156 points? Right, so just do the math, guys. Y'all know what time it is. We are bullish on gold, watching out for that initial drop, right, when the market opens. And then as we get into the week, we're definitely going to see that push, guys. All right, and hopefully the dollar is falling at that time, because again, like I said, the dollar's going to rise first, and so we'll see gold fall a little bit. But then once the dollar is ready to fall, oh boy, gold is taking off, guys. And this is just, again, the perfect time to take advantage. These kind of setups get me real excited, because I know, right, this is where I only need one trade, right? Only need one good setup like this on gold, and I can put good lot size on and really run it up. All right, guys. So please don't sleep on gold and silver, but gold has that best setup. All right, bullish on gold. Moving over to natural gas. All right, we need to get a little higher, see what's going on. Right, again, reading the structure, guys, broke the highs, made the new highs, started the pullback, and we got all the way down to the demand area. Is it ironic that once we got here, guys, price started pushing up majorly? I don't think so. All right, it's just the history repeating itself. Okay, so we're not quite bullish yet. Like, we haven't changed. We're still bearish, right? And I mean that because of the structure that I see: the run, the pullback, the run, the pullback, the run, the pullback. Right, we have not broken above this high to change from going from lower lows and lower highs to now potentially higher highs and higher lows. All right, gold is giving us that, but natural gas is not giving us that change yet. So we need to wait until natural gas gets above this high, right? So until that happens, it's actually better to wait for it to kind of get up here and then take the sell, right? Because it can continue falling, right? And you'll be risking just a little bit of a stop loss on that if you choose to sell it. But guess what? If you get hit, right, and it takes you out, well, now you know that it's telling you it wants to go higher. So all you really got to do is wait for it to come back to this imbalance that is created, possibly this imbalance, which is sitting right above the demand area. Okay, So again, price may come on back, do one of these numbers, and now we'll get ready to take off and do the dance, which is again what we previously did over here. Let me, man, I'm gonna show it to you guys. What I'm explaining to you guys on what's supposed to happen with natural gas in this area is exactly what happened in natural gas previously here. So look at this move down right here. That's this move down into demand, and then as we started to go up, we got our break of structure, or we got our change of character right here. Okay, once we broke above there, so we broke it over here, and then guess what? This was your demand area, right? That was the last candle before the impulsive move up that broke that high. So now price pulls into that and then does what? Blast off. All right, guys, look, does this not look like the same kind of thing that I just drew out over here? So again, guys, these opportunities are finally here. You know what I mean? We've been waiting and waiting and waiting, but now, you know, we got it set up and ready to go. We just got to be, you know, ready to take advantage and do just that. All right, so definitely bullish on natural gas, but I got to wait for that change, and then I'll have my opportunity and you'll have your opportunity. Guys, don't sleep. All right, natural gas bullish. All right, over to crude oil. All right, so I was bullish on crude oil. It took me out because it pushed down just a little more than I expected it to, and now it's looking like it's going to head up. Right, story of our life. Okay, but it's currently respecting the area that it broke. So again, we can still, you know, turn bearish on this, right? But giving it a little bit more time to weigh itself out, right? It's because the way that it's rejecting is trying to break, right? It's testing, it's testing, it's testing, it's testing, it's testing. The more it tests an area, the more it wants to break that area. All right, so again, we may get a little push down because we got some consolidation built up, and again, I tell you guys, liquidity ends up being on both sides of this. So if you're just smart and you know that, okay, price said it wants to go lower because it broke this low, it made the new low, but first it's going to retrace itself back to some key point of interest. Now price looks very efficient, meaning we don't see any imbalance, we don't see any fair value gaps, so it definitely could just respect this and drop, right? But I'm just saying, if it's going to continue the pullback, right, to get a little higher, it's probably going to manipulate down first, right? Sweep the liquidity behind this consolidation, tap into that fair value gap, and then rise up, right? That's if it wants to continue the pullback. But if not, then we'll just get the drop from here and we'll keep dropping on oil, right? So it's a little mixy on potentially what it's going to do, but I'm just going to wait to see, hey, what are you guys going to do, right? Are you going to sweep this and tap into here and give me two or three bull candles? Okay, if you are, I'm going to take that buy and I'm going to take advantage of the pullback and the potential reversal, because again, if we look at oil from a higher time frame, it has been dropping like crazy because there's been talks of peace and ceasefire and all of this good stuff. So look, just from way back in June, all right, we've just been dropping, but now we're at this major level of support, this double bottom, right? And now you can see even a massive wick on this daily time frame. So again, we could begin to reverse on oil, but we just need it to, you know, show its hand on the lower time frame so that we can get in from that very low point and just eat. All right, guys, so bullish on oil, but waiting for it to, you know, do a little extra so I know when to take advantage. All right, over to SPY. Okay, man, oh man, what a whiplash. All right, down and up and down and up. Right, what's next? Okay, possibly another downward move. Okay, because we do have supply sitting here now. All right, and we already tapped into it, so again, potential for SPY to keep falling, right? But who knows, right? Who really knows? All right, either way, right, you can try to sell it from here, see if we get another drop. It's possible. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Or you can wait until it gets to this level of supply, maybe take out the high and get ready to drop. All I know is, you know, we have a lot of jobs that are being lost, right? And you know, we are doing good in the market, right? These indexes or these indices have been, you know, creating crazy all-time highs. So if Jerome cuts rates, right, that's typically looked at as a good thing, right, for stocks and indices and crypto and you name it, to where it'll rise, right? So there's no, you know, we're not out of the gate from these indices rising just yet, right? You know what I mean? We're just getting a little bit of an indication that maybe they're not going to rise. Okay, so but that'll be at the end of October, you know, when that announcement will be made. And then plus there's a lot of these, you know, stocks that have, you know, their earnings report, you know, towards the end of the month as well. So you're going to have interest rate cuts with earning reports, right? And it's going to shake stuff up in these indices. I do expect if we get that rate cut for everything to rise potentially, but then it's going to tank, right? Because it's a bubble at that point, guys. We're not really doing good. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all, everybody knows it, right? But the charts just haven't shown it yet, right? But after that interest rate and we get that last hurrah to the upside, forget about it. After that, it's all down here from there. So guys, just, you know, get ready, tap in with me in the morning, and I'll show y'all how to take advantage. All right, but you gotta get up early, okay? Bearish for now on SPY, right? Watching it just to see how it acts in the zone, right? Hopefully it pushes up a little bit more, gets us in at a better rate, and then if we get some bear candles, especially a bear candle that closes outside of the supply, then yeah, it's time to fly, right? Just go ahead and take it, swing it down to here, potentially the low, and you're looking at you know, an easy 143 points on SPY to the downside, right? Bearish dollar, natural, NAS, all right? Again, we got liquidity here. Again, it could be headed up to this potential supply area, all right? And drop once again, all right? So whoop, there it is. Right, mapping it out, kind of looks just like SPY. They all look like they do the same thing, right? So when you know one, you technically kind of know the other, and you get to take advantage of all three, right? So definitely looking like another sell opportunity on NAS, all right? But maybe we wanted to get a little higher, maybe even to here, right? Before we get that drop. Like I said, the dollar looks like it's going to rise first before it drops. So if it rises, that'll cause the euro dollar, that'll cause NAS to drop, right? But if it you know, hasn't been doing the correlation thing, right? So as the dollar's been falling, even NAS and SPY and US30 has been falling. So, you know, that throws people off, which is why you got to stick with the charts more than you stick with correlation. And like I said, right now the charts are saying sell. Okay, again, we would like to see it go a little higher, right? Because that's a better entry, right? More of a premium price. And getting it down here, we're almost at 1,000 points, right? 876, and these are equal lows, so they're most likely going to be an area that price is definitely going to be gravitating to, right? To sweep. So if we get it from there and we push on down, now we're at 900 points, and just a little bit further, boom, you got your 1,000 points on that to the downside. Y'all better get ready, man. All right, this is free game. Okay, and just imagine, right, if you rock with me on a daily basis, what that's gonna look like. All right, again, forexwithbain.com, guys, hit that like and subscribe button. Rock with me, okay? Over to US 30, last but not least, and ain't gotta say too much, right? Same old same. Expecting it to push up to this level of supply. We got some equal highs sitting to the left, okay, right around here, right? So we may go and take that out before we drop, right? Which is again a good thing, because that gives us an opportunity to get into a sell at a premium price from a higher point than where price currently is. All right, so don't just sell it right away. Let it get to the zones, guys. That's the key. Let it get to your zones. All right, I can't stress it enough. Right, it's in the middle of nowhere right now. It can whiplash yourself all the way through here because it's not at a point of interest where we can clearly see that price shot down or shot up from. Okay, that's how that goes. When we look at price getting back up to this area, what happened the last time we were in this area? Kaboom. You understand what I'm saying? What happened the last time we were in this area when we look left? Kaboom. Is it making sense? So again, guys, don't just sell it right away. Give it some time to play out and get to higher prices. That way you can get in at a premium price and do your thing. All right, so bearish on US 30, guys. We loaded up this week. All right, and again, like I said, I'll be going live, so I'll hold your hand into everything that I'm saying, and you guys will see that I'm the man. All right, but meantime, in between time, y'all know what it is. It's your boy. Peace.
Wanna get money? Wanna get paid? That's Forex. Like a sensei, then you know you gotta come and swing my way. And if you wanna fast forward here, replay.